How's it going, everybody? I hope the day is treating you well. My wife's going to be out on the road for most of the day, so I'm home alone, which is usually a pretty dangerous situation. I've got some chores I need to attend to. I'm going to go out and get into a little trouble in the backyard. I'm going to cut some grass and rake some leaves and who knows what else. Before I do, though, I want to talk a little bit about something that seems to be coming up quite a bit lately. It's no lie that we're living in difficult times right now, regardless of what side of the political fence you fall on or where your own personal beliefs put you. It's turbulent. And if you buy into the whole if it bleeds, it leads mentality that so much of the mass media seems to hold with these days, it's hard. And it can be a little frightening. Especially if you're empathic on any level, or if you're in the midst of your own recovery or healing work, or whether your personal life has taken some hard turns. My own experience, the last couple of weeks have been a real shit show for me. The healing work's been hard. I've been dealing with a lot of old trauma, a lot of old fear, shame, guilt coming up. Having grown up the way I did, that stuff runs pretty deep. And to be honest, I've been exhausted quite a bit. In the midst of it, though, I've been thinking a lot about this guy I used to work with, I don't know, probably 30 years ago. And he was one of those guys who was always at the gym. And, he always had to talk about his progress and everything. And so I started talking to him about lifting one day. I was thinking about doing it myself, work out a little bit because I was a trainer. My job was pretty sedentary. And I started asking him about, what he was benching and so on. And he said to me, man, it doesn't matter what I can lift. What matters is what you can lift. And I've hung on to that. You take your wisdom where you can get it. And I'll tell you, so much of that applies to this whole path of spiritual healing and spiritual recovery work. At the outset, it's important to remember that if this work were easy, it would already be done. None of us would be sitting here in the midst of it. And it's also important to remember not to compare our own progress to the progress of others. Some people seem to bounce along through life and nothing ever hits them. And we look at those people and we're just in awe of them. Other people, they're in the midst of some hard recovery work, maybe from addiction, maybe physical recovery, maybe in the midst of some family trauma, whatever. But yet they're able to meet the needs of the day and keep going. We're in awe of those people too. But it's important to remember this: we don't do our work in a vacuum. And even though sometimes we feel like we're crushed by our own work, other people are looking at us wondering how the hell we can keep it together. Even if sometimes all we can do is sit and feel and be overwhelmed because we're working at such a deep level that we're just completely fucking exhausted. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten from a teacher that I'm currently working with, whom I've been working with for quite some time, is don't pray for your work to be easy. Pray for it to be thorough. And so imagine that you're walking across this field of completely unbroken snow. And the field extends. There's not a landmark to be found. And you stop for a second and you turn around and you look back and you see your footprints stretching out behind you. And then you turn and you look ahead of you at this completely unbroken field of snow. And then you look down at your own feet. These are three perspectives that are important to maintain in our work. And it's important to keep each of them. If you just turn and look back and you start to focus only on how far you've come, sometimes you slip into that whole "I got it" mentality, or "I must be done. I've been doing this work for so long, I only got one or two things to go, so I'm good." And if you turn and you look out front and all you see is that unknown distance, you start to think, shit, this work's never going to end. And you can become overwhelmed. And if you only look down at your feet, you only look where you are now, what you're in the midst of at this exact moment, you forget how far you've come. And you forget the humility of knowing that there's always more work. One of the things that we can do to taper our work, not to dodge it, but to keep our head clear about it, is to ask to receive only those things we're ready to carry. Sometimes, and I've heard this, it's easy to say, oh, just be done with it. Let's just get it all over with. Bring it on. And what we're in effect doing is telling our higher power, hey, oh man, you go sit in the corner. I got this. I can carry it. And sometimes our higher power is ready to let us just do that and be crushed by the weight of our own arrogance until we hit the floor and we surrender on our knees in prayer. And other times, when the first challenge comes along, the first bit of difficulty comes along, we pray to have the work taken away from us. Oh, this feels awful. I must be doing something wrong. I used to feel so good. So I'm just going to ask to have this taken away. But when it's really effective, going back to the metaphor of the gym, is when we ask our higher power to spot for us, not to lift our weight, but to help us in those times when we reach our limits so that we can take a break and then get back to it. We don't get strong by lifting the easy weight, but we also don't recover by trying to lift more than we're ready to. That's the struggle. But in the end, when we're able to find that sweet spot, and we're able to sit in the work that's ours to do, carry the load that we're ready to carry, we can eventually set it down, realize we've grown stronger from it, and pick up something that's just a little bit heavier. Till next time.